So welcome everybody to today's webinar. It's the first in a two-part update developed by the South Australian Department for Trade and Investment in conjunction with the South Australian Wine Industry Association, and with an aim to assist wine exporters to re-engage with one of our most important export markets, being China. My name's Nick Waterman. I'm here today representing the South Australian Wine Industry Association, of which I'm the current president, and also have a job with Yalumba outside of that. So before I introduce the speakers and the Minister, I guess I don't need to tell everyone who's tuned in the importance of China. It's one of the largest export destinations for us as an industry. It's grown sort of threefold over the last 3 to 4 years. And from a South Australian context, it represents, well, there's about 2,300 Australian brands who export their wines to China, mainland China. And of those, about 80% come out of South Australia. And from a South Australian industry perspective, it represents 38% of all of the South Australian exports are destined to China. So no doubt we're all living through the coronavirus and the impacts that it's had, and both on just moving the movement of people, and particularly just the slowing of consumer spending and a cautiousness. But no doubt we'll get through that, and I think today's a really good opportunity to hear from key people in the market in China as to how they see things unfolding. So I will just give a few housekeeping, bit of housekeeping in terms of, I'll introduce very briefly the speakers, but as each speaker speaks, or before each speaker speaks, I'll give a bit more detail as to their background. We would ask that all questions are held to the end, because there's 4 speakers to get through, and then we'll take questions at the end, and I'll give you a bit of background on the questions in terms of how to ask them, and if your question doesn't get answered, what we'll do. Just to let everyone know that this session is being recorded, and it will be posted on the Department of Trade and Investment's website, as well as the South Australian Wine Industry Association website. So I would like to, before I pass to the Minister to do a brief welcome, just like to welcome Minister, the Honourable David Ridgway, who is the Minister for Trade and Investment in the South Australian Government. And we will be joined by 4 speakers, Ling, who is Head of Food and Beverage Sector for Tmall. I'm sure everyone's heard of the famous Tmall, owned by Alibaba. Joelle Zeng, who is the wine buyer for Sam's Club, owned by Walmart. Stefan Chen, who's the operations director for Kerry Wines. And then the final speaker this afternoon is Baron Hong, who's the general manager for Pran Wines. So I'm looking forward to it and to learning as much as I can from these learned speakers. But I will now just ask the Minister to say a few words.
Well, thanks, Nick, and thanks for that introduction, and welcome to all of you that are watching and listening. It's really great that we've got you online and you're here listening, and I'm looking forward to the speakers as well, because as Nick outlined, the wine sector is a very important part of our South Australian economy and our sort of culture and way of life. We all enjoy it and celebrate it here, but you actually need to export and grow the economy to be able to continue to enjoy and celebrate what we have here in South Australia that is particularly special. And we have some great iconic brands. As we know, Nick's tied up with Yalumba and does a great job there, but the ones that are sort of household names, Penfolds, Peter Lehmann, Wolf Blass, Wynns, Hardy's, Seppeltsfield, the list goes on of those iconic ones. But also, given there's such a volume going to China, there's a lot of much lesser known and smaller brands being consumed in China as well. So for me, it's this isn't just about one cohort of the sector, the premium end or the big established producers. It's about supporting the entire industry across all of the price points and all of the different varieties and all the different regions. So look, we've had a tough time with COVID-19. We're starting to emerge from it, and exporting. Thankfully, all of our shipping channels are operating pretty well at the moment. So for things like wine that can go by in a container, not so constrained by air freight, we've got a great opportunity to get back and continue to export. But I really want to hear from the speakers. So I'll hand back to you, Nick, and sit back and listen to the speakers.
Thank you very much, Minister. So our first speaker is Miss Wu Ling, who commenced her current role as the head of food and beverage sector in Tmall in June of 2017. Ms. Ling also joined Alibaba Group in 2014, where she was Senior Product Director in one of the logistics areas. And prior to working for Alibaba, Wu Ling was an innovative, pragmatic and independent serial entrepreneur. That sounds very interesting, Wu Ling, with many years of experience. So, and supporting Wu Ling today is Zhizha, who's going to be interpreting. So I will pass over to Ms. Wu Ling and Ms. Zhizha.
那个尊敬的李林伟部长以及我们各位在座的嘉宾，大家下午好。
Dear Honorary Minister David Ridgway, how are you guys doing? Good afternoon.
非常高兴参加这次这个论坛。我想正是因为我们南加州的各位同仁对整个趋势的洞察和趋势的发现有一些更前驱的一些认知，所以呢，在去年我们整个中国的葡萄酒市场有负增长的情况下，我们澳大利亚的这个葡萄酒反而是无论是在整个大盘以及都取得了很好的一个成绩，都是一个正增长的情况。
With our colleagues from South Australia, hard work and investment, although in the overall wine market has been decreasing in the China market last year, but except for Australia, we still have an increase in both volume and value at the same time. So tremendous work.
特别是复议的增长，以及近期增速比较高的叫黄尾袋鼠引领了我们澳洲进口餐酒的高速增长。
So we have brands like Treasury, Penfolds, and Yellowtails, and other top brands in Australia that has been leading the growth overall for the Australian wine category.
下面我跟大家简单分享一下，就是我们天猫葡萄酒的行业的一些情况，以及因为疫情影响对整个葡萄酒行业的我们的一个认知。
Now I will share some data and information from my side with the effects of COVID-19 on our e-channel as well as China market.
从我们在这个天猫上的数据可以看到，对进口葡萄酒，我们是有很详细的一些人群的一些洞察，比如说1、2线城市的我们叫新锐白领，还有这个资深中产，相对来说这个收入比较高的人，他的这个进口红酒的购买量相对来说是占比比较高。
So some data from our key customers, such as the new white collars and the new generation of the middle class, and from first and second tiers, and I'll share with you some of their buying habits that they have changed since the COVID-19.
但另外一个比较有意思的数据是，反而中国的6线城市，它的占比也非常高。我们推测呢，很可能是就当地的这个线下的红葡萄酒没有铺到位，所以在6线城市的占比也是非常高的。
Another interesting fact that we want to share with you guys is actually our 6-tier cities, which is a much smaller city compared to Shanghai and Beijing, where the penetration rate is actually quite high, mainly due to the logistic issues that were importers from first-tier cities that aren't able to penetrate and provide service to those cities.
当然还有一个数据能够看到，我们的澳洲进口酒在所有的增速里边，反而是有一些年轻人的增速是不高，那和我们澳洲的红酒的品牌以及产品的更新迭代慢是非常有关系的。
Another key fact that we are seeing right now is actually Australian brands performing on the new generations actually quite low compared to other countries such as France and USA and New Zealand.
所以我们也是期望我们葡萄酒 南澳洲的葡萄酒能专门针对年轻人，能有更多的符合他们口味的或者符合他们这种需求的颜值包装的一些产品。
So for the future, we hope that Australian brands can actually to work more on the packaging to attract and appeal to more young generation wine drinkers in China.
那么下面呢，也可以再跟大家简单介绍一下，在中国这个消费者为什么来到天猫的平台上来买葡萄酒。
And now I'll share some info why the Chinese consumer are more and more coming to Tmall to buy wines.
我们在数据上能够看到，越来越多的消费者买葡萄酒，它是基于专业化以及它的信息的碎片化来的。
And we can see that people are coming to online to buy, especially Tmall, is such based on the information they have access to online compared to the traditional channels offline.
对，更多的消费者他们是通过一些 KOL 的介绍以及一些专业的内容分享来自己来挑选葡萄酒。
So a lot more Chinese consumers, especially the young generations, they are actually picking wines based through the key opinion leaders in the wine market or in their special lifestyle key opinion leaders, and also through other content marketing products such as articles, short videos.
比如去年有一个在我们平台上做葡萄酒非常好的一个我们叫达人 KOL， 他叫醉额娘。那他的去年的双11期间，葡萄酒教育的这个短视频以及它的销量都达到了非常好的一个成绩。
A good example that how we help build a key opinion leaders on Tmall for wines. An example would be Lady Penguin, who is actually the #1 wine key opinion leader in China market, and how we did a lot of marketing events together last year to help them to build brand as well as attract new consumers.
当然，大家也知道，直播已经成为我们中国做这个网上销售的一个非常重要的渠道。所以去年呢，在进口葡萄酒上面，去年大概有数亿、上亿的成交都是通过一些网红的直播来达成的。
As you guys probably already know in Australia, that live streaming is a key channel for us to sell product these days in China. Over 100 million worth of wine that was sold through live streaming last year.
所以我们也期望我们的葡萄酒协会能在接下来和贸易商家能够共同产出一些更有趣味、更有这个专业性的一些内容，不管是短视频还是一些图文这样一些介绍，来教育我们的消费者。
So for the future, we hope that we can work closely together with the wine association, government organizations, to help generate more interesting articles and short videos and any content products that can help attract new consumers to get more knowledge on wines.
下面我再想跟大家沟通一下新冠疫情发生以后，我们的行业的一些变化。
And now, Ms. Wu Ling would like to share some of the changes because of the COVID-19 in our industry, wine industry online.
因为这个餐饮市场相对来说增长就会比较慢，所以呢，我们明显看到整箱的红酒的消费会越来越少，而反而这种小支装单瓶会取代以前的多瓶装。
Because of COVID-19, as you guys already probably experienced the same thing down in Australia as well. A lot of on-trade has been closed or have many restrictions on having customer dining in restaurants. So as we can see for online, more and more people actually are buying smaller packages such as one bottle, half a bottle, or just instead of buying by case compared to before the COVID-19, where a lot of people actually purchase the wine by case with a much better value. And they actually, a lot of restaurants in China are BYOB friendly, so you can actually bring your own wine to the restaurants. And now, because of COVID-19, less people are dining out, so a lot of people are buying small packages to consume at home.
所以呢，这个我们是期望我们有更多的符合家庭小规模聚会以及这个年轻消费家庭的这样的一些产品，应该是在接下来更有竞争力的一些产品。
So now we feel like for the future, because with this pandemic, we feel like for the future, more and more consumers are looking to purchase more wine that is more house consumption friendly. So such as better value, lower price point, and a small package.
当然我们也知道，为家庭供酒，那一般来说，家庭购买的人士他是需要有一个专门的，我们也有专门的人群的一些设计，比如说叫家庭决策人员，比如说一家人经常买酒的是太太还是丈夫，所以呢，我们这里边都可以通过数据洞察找到他们。
So based on the different demographics, we actually seen that a lot of people buying wines online. The one that making the purchase decision are the housewife. So based on that, we are tailored more friendly user experience for the housewife, for them to purchase wine online.
对，还有这个年轻一代，中国的我们还是这个90后，他们单身人群，他们的消费力也是非常可以的，所以我们会建议我们新的产品和新的这个内容要更多的去影响，就是我们说的家庭决策人员以及Z 时代，就是年轻人群。
So as the purchasing power of the people that are born after 1990s, as their purchasing power has been growing stronger and stronger, and we are starting to tailor more products suitable for their lifestyle and their purchasing habits.
总之呢，因为疫情的影响，我们认为红葡萄酒葡萄酒的这个市场仍然是非常看好的，它依然是我们消费者喜欢的一种品类。
With that all said, we still have a high confidence on the wine category because we feel that that's a good product and something that a lot of people can share with the family, and we still have a high hope for this category.
当然，因为阿里巴巴的这个天猫平台上女性消费者更多一些，所以我们也是认为呢，在这个起泡酒和甜酒这样的兴趣人群，现在它增长是最快的，也希望在这个上面我们能够共同有一些机会去抓住。
As you guys probably already know, for Alibaba Tmall, majority of our customers are female. So actually, we need to provide more products, more female friendly, such as low alcohol, sparkling, and sweet white wines.
以上就是我跟大家分享的内容，谢谢大家。
Above the information that I would like to share with everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Ling. Very informative, and I guess the amount of transacting that takes place online in China, most people will be familiar with, but it's interesting to see the shift and the strength of your business towards the female gender and younger people, and I think the key opinion leaders is also a good point you raised. I know Wine Australia had made approaches to Lady Penguin as part of the export and regional wine support package to try and increase the awareness of the total brand, Australian wine brand in China. But thank you very much, and there'll be questions at the end, no doubt. Our next speaker is Joelle Zeng. Joelle holds a master's degree from the French Business School in Siec, and she is fluent in English and French. She's worked for French export trading company and then an importer in China. Joelle is now the wine buyer for Sam's Club. I think that needs no introduction, and which is the high-end membership store, and first opened in Shenzhen in 1996, and with plans to have 40 to 45 outlets opened or under construction by the year 2022. So, Joelle, I'll pass to you now to give your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Hi. It's a great honor to be here. This is Joelle, and I'm the wine buyer of Sam's Club China. I'm graduated from Insect Business School in Bordeaux, France, and I have been in the wine business for 5 years. And first of all, I still need to introduce you about Sam's Club China. Sam's Club is a chain of membership-only warehouse club owned by Walmart. We're in China for 24 years. We have now 26 clubs in 20 cities. And by the end of this year, we will have 31 clubs. And we are now serving more than 2 million members. And we offer great member values. It's trustful quality, worldwide import items, online and offline buying channels, etc. And of course, a better price. As talk about the impact of COVID-19 on wine business in Sam's Club. Well, on February we had a slightly decrease because of the confinement. There was less need and hence less consumption. But since March we have recovered quite quickly. For April we had already a 2-digit increase. And what's our key winning point during the COVID-19? Personally, I believe is for the 3 points. The first one is the authenticity. Becoming our vendor is not easy. We have a very severe audit and inspection on food security, on production, and on supply chain. But thanks to our insist on quality, we have built up an image of trustful retailer among all our members. So especially during the crisis, trust is very essential, and that's the base of everything. And the second thing is the selected products with great price. Normally, a supermarket has 20,000 SKUs, and we have way less. Limited SKU are pre-selected by our buyers, and since there are less SKUs, every SKU contribute more sales. So we have a bigger volume to negotiate with the vendors for a better cost. Therefore, we can offer a better price for our members. And then the last one is the online and offline buying channels. Once we have the good products, we must make them very accessible. And during the confinement, people could not go out. They had to shop online. We have built up the omni-channel shopping several years ago. We have our flagship store on Jingdong, one of the biggest online shopping site in China, and we have our own app and 1-hour delivery service. The offline store is a great place to experience. People can try our products and our services. And our online store is a better place to spread info and news and promotions. We can let more people know us and get them involved. And in Sam's Club, I think it's more interesting. We have wines from France, Italy, Spain, also wines from Australia, New Zealand, and USA. For Australian wines, we now have about 20 SKUs, including the following brands: Penfolds, of course, and Yalamba, Hardy's, and Grandbridge, Marmaduke, Brown Brothers, and the Bortoli. Today here, I'd like to share with you some of my personal point of views on what Chinese, let's talk about what Chinese consumers wanting now and post coronavirus. Some phenomena to highlight and to tell what can wineries and brands do for them. The first one is the trustful buying sources, because during the and after the epidemic, people care more about the sanity than before. So people need some trustful buying sources. They are willing to spend more for an ensuring quality. What I think that wineries and brands should strive to win the trust of consumers. They should unite together, organize events to promote the wine region, and also win some medals, awards as added value. And the second one is the different consumer groups. For different consumer groups, their behavior during the crisis varies. For example, the core group of wine consumers is men in their 30s living in big cities for us. And these consumers drinks more wine compared to last year, actually. They are the core group of wine consumers. I think that wineries should focus on these consumers, and offer them high quality and branded wines. And the third one is the consumption scenario. As we can imagine, there is less banquet and gifting, but home consumption become more trendy. Young consumers even invent drinking on cloud. They open a bottle of wine and share the moment with their friends on video. There's also a great opportunity. I think wineries and brands can organize some live streaming or short videos to communicate with young consumers and to win their hearts. Or some new and funny packaging can also be great. And the last one is the buying channels. According to Nielsen data, before the coronavirus, offline shopping on wine in China is 84%. And so it's way higher than online shopping, which is 46%. During the coronavirus, the offline is impacted, of course, but the online shopping rate increased to 65%. And after the coronavirus, now the online shopping stays stably at 54%. This change is a long-time change, and I think that wineries and brands must invest both online and offline. Well, that's all for my sharing, and a great thanks to the conference holder, and thank you for your listening. China is a very big market with high potential. I'm looking forward to see more Australian wines. See you next time.
Thank you, Joelle. And I think you have to leave. Do you have to leave before the question time?
I have a meeting at 2 o'clock, so I still have the half hour.
Okay, so we still have to hold the questions to the end, but if people have questions, then I think the Department of Trade and Investment will follow up with you directly and make sure that people get answered. But thank you very much for that presentation.
Yes, thank you.
So that's pretty interesting, I think, when we hear that Tmall was a majority female audience and Sam's Club is majority male audience in their 30s, both the similar demographic, and very interesting to see that the trend so quickly turned to online, and you've maintained a lot of that, which is very interesting. So we'll move on. I'm sure that most of the people that are online would dearly love to be in Sam's Club, and no doubt you'll be getting lots of calls, I should say. So we'll move on to the next speaker, Stefan Chen. Stefan is the Operation Director of Kerry Wines. In his current role, Stefan is responsible for the daily operation and finance management in Greater China, and includes quite a range of responsibilities, including finance, logistics, human resources, and compliance. So you're a very busy man, Stefan. He has in-depth experience in operations and finance, having played important roles across a range of industries. Has also worked for the multinational corporate Bacardi, who we all know, and ASC Fine Wines, who a lot of us know as well. So Stefan, welcome this afternoon, and we look forward to your presentation.
Okay, so thanks for the next introduction. But I have to say, maybe the information needs to be updated. So I'm right now in charge of the PRC operation, so that including the marketing and the sales. So director is maybe 2 or 3, 5 years ago. So that's why I not only look after the back office, but also the sales and marketing. So it's good afternoon, everyone. So it's very happy to attend this webinar to share the PRC on-premise market situation with all the people here. So regarding to the on-trade, I would like to talk a couple of the contents. So next page, please. So first of all, I would like to introduce the Kerry Wines. So who we are, our background, so our customer, and also I will share everyone the general impact because of the COVID-19 in the F&B industry. So then I will break down to the hotel business and the restaurant business. It's a little bit different. Also, it's all belong to the entrepreneurs. So Kerry Wine, so we are the specialist importer of the fine wine company, belongs to the Kerry Group. So we are founded in Hong Kong in the year of 2010, and in mainland China we start to set up an office in 2011. So right now we have an office in the Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou. So regarding to the Kerry Group, so I think a lot of people know the Shangri-La, know the Kerry Property, Kerry Logistics. Actually, it's quite a big group founded by the Rupert Koch. So it's a very famous guy in Asia. So that's why we are the supply the Shangri-La Hotel and also the other entree customers. So I will show you guys later. So when we set up the company, our mission is we try to share our passion for the wine with all the people, since wine is very complicated. So we feel like one lover, so everybody should have a chance to share with good wine. So that's why we say the quality wine should be accessible. So with the next step, we try to become a leading importer of the fine wine company in Great China, so including Hong Kong, Macau, China mainland, as well as like the Taiwan. So our eventual goal is to try to serve both entree customer and the private customer. So that's our mission for our company. So here is our key customer. So we start from entree, but we are not only service our customer in the entree, as well as like the off-tree restaurant and also some B2C client. So for the entree, on the entree, we are service like the Shangri-La Hotel, like the SAWIA, like the IHG, Marriott. So actually, we just had quite a PRC group contract with the hotel and service all the property in China. So from the Shanghai to the Tibet. So it's 200 hotels for one of the group. So also we work with most of the fine dining restaurants in Shanghai, Beijing, Zeng, Guangzhou. So we list some of them like the Ruby Shang, like the Hakkasan, like some of the Loose Priest. This is all top fine dining restaurant in the Shanghai, Beijing, and Shenzhen. We also work with some of the retailers, but we work with some like the new retailers. We call these boutique retailers like the Hema, invest by the Alibaba, and also like the City Shop and the City Shoe. So it's not like the traditional hypermarket. So actually, it's more like the not conventional, but in the middle. We call this boutique retail because since they face to the new generation, the young people. So that's is also our target customers. The last one, we also service some of the B2C clients. So here we can see a lot of the bank, like the corporate, so also the golf club, and some of the wine lovers. Since our portfolio, we have a lot of the Grand Cru Classic, the GCC, and the Burgundies. So this is all the integration of the Kerry wines. We try to introduce the impact of the COVID-19 to the general F&B industry. So that's why we try to spread by the hotel, restaurant, so let people to understand it better. So here we try to find some of the data and report regarding some of the industry, so some research report. So I can break it down by the detail. So next is for the hotel. So for the hotel, we can see in the CNY period, this is normally the peak season in China, the occupied dropped from the 60% to the 14% year on year, 2019 versus 2020. So it's around the 46% drop. And for the revenue per room, so we can see 2019 is 213 RMB, dropped to the 113 RMB. So it's dramatically decreased, 72%. But we, in the May 1st, is the Golden Week. So it's one of the biggest festival in China. So we can see the hotel, they resume the percentage of the restriction go up to the 52%. And the room occupied also increased to 60% versus the CNY February, only 14%. And also the average room revenue also increased to the 80% year on year. So overall, the hotel, we can see the it's recovered around 60% from the occupied point of view. So in the second chart, we can see actually in China we have a different brand of the hotel group. So it's like the local brand, international brand, and also some of the independent small hotels. So from the data, we can see the global brand, so it's less impacted than the others. So from the general point of view, we know how the impact because of the COVID-19. But on the specific point of view, we can see the challenge hotel are facing. It's because of the travel restriction, so limited the traveler. So especially for the international guests, is less and less. So that's caused some of the how to say, like the fine dining restaurant is impacted quite a lot, and also the events, the wedding postponed, and also some of the fixed costs is still there, like the staff, like the rentals. So I can see the reaction taken by the hotel, what they're trying to do, like the takeaway, and also through the live streaming to sell some of the products of the hotel, like the coupon for the buffet for the room. So also they through their retail shop on the online to sell some products. So the F&B revenue from hotel mainly from the three parts. First is the breakfast. The second is like the wedding. The third thing is like the events. So because of this virus impact, so we can see no traveler, no wedding, no event. So that's why overall the impact on the F&B to the hotel is quite a lot. So this is for the restaurant business. So from the restaurant business, we can see the overall the revenue for the Q1. So last year is 600 billion for overall China. But 2020, we can see this figure is dropped 44%. It is similar like the hotel occupied job. So for the March, we can see it's still dropped to 46.8%. So 1 month, the revenue for the F&B overall China is 183.2 billion, but still bigger drop. But from the May 1st, we can see some of the recovery. So for the same, the Golden Week, we can see the restaurants reception is go up to the 60%. Actually, it's higher than the hotel, and the average number of the number of consumer actually increased 6% compared with the April. So it's similar to the hotel. So CNY season, because of the whole country the lockdown and the travel restriction, is quite a big impact. For the nationwide, we also can see the franchise is less impacted than the individual restaurants. So go to the details. So I mentioned the Hakkasan is one of the top fine dining restaurant in Shanghai. So unfortunately, it closed because the influence by the COVID-19. As I mentioned, because of the international traveler is less and less. So this kind of the top Michelin fine dining Western restaurant is a big impact here. So the challenge from the restaurant is a little bit different with the hotel. Same things because of the nationwide quarantine, limited traveler. Rental fee and food cost is very high, and less walk-in because everybody's staying at home, and also the restaurants their business is only the restaurants, so limited diversity, and they have the low entry risk capability. So which means like hotel, they still have the room, but the restaurant they only have the restaurant. If no guests, so they maybe have to be closed, like the Hackathon, for example. So the reaction we can see, what are the restaurants they are take, similar like the hotel, they do the takeaway, like the box lunch, like they sell like semi-finished products since they have food stored in their fridges. And they also do a lot of the ending consumers. So I mentioned here to see. So e-commerce through their e-commerce shop, and they also sell products through the WeChat shop. So it's different like the Alibaba and the Tmall. this WeChat is established by the Tencent. It's 100 million people, they communicate through the WeChat. So this is one of another business model. But also the live streaming to sell the coupon, semi-finished products. So, and also they do the community sales. For example, one of the restaurants, they just sell some of the food to some of the like the neighbor, like some of the people who live close to them. So we call this community sales. So with this very challenging time, so as a entree policy the company, what we can do is just hand in hand, just work together with hotel, with restaurant to overcome these pandemics. This is all my shares. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Stefan. Very interesting. And I think obviously China is further along the path of recovery than Australia. And it's encouraging to see that your restaurant trade and your five-star hotel business starting to recover from the low levels earlier on.
Yes.
So I might just, at the risk of deviating from the script, Joelle, I think you're still there, but you said you had a 2 o'clock meeting. Maybe if people have, Joelle, can you just let me know if you're able to stay for 5 minutes if we just open up questions for you specifically before we have Baron's presentation?
Yes, I can talk.
So by way of there's a question function on the WebEx meeting. Does anybody have any questions that I'd like to ask of Joelle? If you just submit the question and then we'll ask them. But maybe while people are doing that, Joelle, I noticed you said that in some of your Sam's Club stores you offer 1 hour delivery. And I imagine in China that's logistically quite challenging. How do you go about achieving that?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you very well. Actually, I changed it again.
Oh, sorry,
Are you talking about the logistic? Or...
you said that you have a 1 hour delivery service.
Yes.
So given that the traffic and the roads are very congested in China, how do you achieve that?
Actually, we have several clouds. Means like we have some stock of selected items in several spots for all over the city. So every cloud can cover the area around them. So the 1 hour delivery service is for the neighborhood, for the clouds.
Okay, that makes sense. If there's any questions, type them in. I think there was one question earlier, Joelle, which you might be able to answer in terms of what is the strongest e-commerce platform for transacting to purchase?
I believe that the two biggest e-commerce platform we have today, Tmall, is for the Alibaba group, and the other is Jingdong. These two are the biggest in China.
Okay. All right, and just maybe lastly, I can't see any other questions coming in, but in terms of authenticity,
yes.
is it?
I see the question actually.
Yes, you see that.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, so that everybody can see it. I'm not sure if everybody can see that question, but the authenticity, is this an important thing in your business, and is it important for the Australian producers to start to think about providing technology that provides authenticity?
Yes, actually, as I mentioned before, to become our vendors, we have a lot of inspection and audits, and so at our side we have to guarantee the authenticity, of course, and for the importation, we can also offer all the certifications needed to our customers and all the authorizations. we work almost with only with the biggest vendors and the biggest importers in China and the brands.
Okay.
Guaranteed authenticity.
Great. I guess there's the next step would be to ensure that you can verify that, or that your customers can verify that, which I know there's a lot of work going on in that space.
So we have for the first we will inspect all the documents, and also I think the custom also they do also their job for the 检疫. Sorry, we don't know how to say it in English.
Okay, I might just have a couple more questions, as I know you've got a meeting, and some of the other questions that people are now asking will get answered. There's one about brand labels, but I think we might ask Ling that later on.
Okay.
One question, Joelle, came in about the average prices of wines at Sam's Club. Have they fallen since COVID, and have they recovered, or did they not change at all?
We have price ranges from less than 100 RMB to the very expensive French fine wines. So the price is very wide range. It's difficult to say the average.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. We might move on because I know you have a meeting, but thank you, Joelle, again for participating today and staying around to answer some questions. Appreciated.
Thanks to everyone.
Our next speaker is Baron Hong. Baron is the General Manager of Pran Wines and the board director of AustCham, South China. Pran Wines is a leading wine importer, which was founded in 2012 in China and is focused predominantly on Australian fine wine, and has successfully built up a distribution network across China among major fine wine wholesalers, 5-star hotels, premium restaurants, online retailers and private customers. Pran Wines was awarded the Best Australian Wine Importer of the Year in 2014 and 2016 by Wine Australia, and the Best Australian Wine Importer Hall of Fame in 2017. It's quite an effort for a business that was only founded in 2012. So, Baron, we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Hi, everyone. This is Baron. Okay, I'd like to start by introducing our company a little bit. We are established in 2012, as introduced. Currently, we have office in Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Melbourne. We are a wine importer that is very much focused on Australian wines. We don't sell any wine from any other country, just Australian wines. Right now, we carry more than 20 Australian brands in China, and among which there are 6 wineries from South Australia. There are Mount Horrocks from Clare Valley, K Brothers and Old Javi from McLaren Vale, Foyster Huttonville Farm from Barossa, and Norfolk Rice from Mount Benson. Our business covers most areas in China and covers all major channels. Most of our customers are traditional wine merchants in China. They are like wine specialists in their own city, and they sell wine directly to their end user. This is our core customer. And we also do have on-trade customers like 5-star hotels, premium restaurants, and we are supplier for Olay supermarkets, and also a large volume of our wine is sold through modern online channels like Tmall, NetEase, Koala, NetEase Yanxuan, and Hema Xianzhen. And we do have airline customers like China Eastern. Most of the wine brands we carry are small family-owned boutique wineries, which has made us very special in the market. And I'm so honored as the smallest company in the panel. I'm very honored to be invited to share our experience. Okay, I'd like to start talking about the market overview by introducing a research report done by Top Wine. This questionnaire, this research was done in February of this year, and it has interviewed, top one has interviewed 532 trade people. Among them, 61% of them are importers, and the rest, there are 18% winery representatives. So they are basically people in the industry. So I have to remind everyone that this is done in end of February, so which is the most serious part, the serious timing in China. We all frightened by the coronavirus. We don't know what will happen, and everything's unclear about the future. So this is when the questionnaire was done. And what I would like to highlight is that in this questionnaire, there are 34% of companies predicted a loss of 30 to 50%, and another 30% has predicted a loss of 10 to 30%. That means the big majority of people being interviewed, they are afraid that their business will be reduced dramatically. And 41% of the companies has believed that there will be a retaliatory consumption. A retaliatory consumption is a very popular word in China during the pandemic, that everyone believes people, all the consumers, will spend more money, that they haven't spent much money during the coronavirus period. So they tend to spend more money after the coronavirus period. So people believe this will happen in September. And that was done in February, and people start to believe the consumption will come back in September. And from what we observed right now, I think this is likely to happen. So I think in September, everything will come back. And 68% of the companies has expressed their interest in doing online channels, which I will talk about the online channels later. And 37% of the companies will adjust the plan of attending exhibitions in 2020. And actually, they didn't plan to adjust. They have to adjust because all the exhibitions are canceled. And next slide. There are 24% of the companies are in favor of trading Australian wine after the pandemic. This is something very interesting because Australia ranks the first for trade people when they consider after the pandemic which wines from which country will you consider to carry. 24% of them choose Australian wines, while the second is Chile, 16%, and France is only 15%. This is definitely a good news for Australians. And 43% of the interviewees are willing to participate on online exhibitions. This is very different from before because I have been seeing companies doing online exhibition 2 years ago, and they weren't doing too much because people are not interested in going to the website to look for suppliers. And now 43% of the interviewees are willing to go to those websites and search for wines and select the wines. It's very interesting. So this is something from a report, and the report is a bit outdated. What's happening right now? I heard a lot of things about people saying how much damage that the coronavirus has done to their business, but I don't have a figure. The only figure I have is something from my own company. So I did show some top secret from ourselves. I did take the sales figure from our the year 2018, 2019, and 2020, same month from the 3 years, and I did a comparison. As everybody can see, our volume for year 2020 did drop. The volume for the whole 5 months for year 2020 has dropped about 30% comparing to last year. I think that's what I heard from the industry. Everybody's talking about something between 30% to 40%, but our own experience is 30%. And there is something I need to point out is for this year, year 2020, our Chinese New Year is very early. It was in January 25th. So that has affected our January sales performance. a lot because January we worked for less than half month. So we lost something there, and we had a very good December last year. So this is something we need to consider. Also, for May, I didn't put the sales week, the revenue, our revenue for this week. So for May of year 2020 is only the figure for 3 weeks. So basically from this chart, we can see the business is coming back. We are not as that affected as we expected it would be. So, and also I have been talking to a lot of my customers, and they are still very confident in the future business. Okay, let's talk about how COVID-19 influenced wine market in China. I think if we're talking about the sales performance affected by COVID-19, entry-level wines are more affected than fine wines. So for entry-level wines, because the customers are general consumers, they have not much wine knowledge, and they don't have the habit of drinking wine. So they are very low frequency consumers. They buy wine like once or twice a year. They don't have a frequent buying habit. And also for entry-level wines, our distributors or the importers or distributors, they tend to have a very high level of stock because this kind of products, they normally move very fast. So everybody stock very high, especially before the Chinese New Year. And after the Chinese New Year, as everything is not moving, and also for entry-level wines, normally the margin is much lower. So when you have a big stock of wine in the warehouse, you are paying for the warehouse. You are losing money on interest because you have locked in your money on those entry-level wines. So the COVID-19 has dropped down the sales for all those entry-level wines, and then as a result, it affected the margin level as well. So, and why entry-level wines are more affected? Because the channels are blocked, the demands are blocked. There is not much banquet, no more party, no gift use for this entry-level wines. So normally entry-level wines we think is more for banquets, it's more for party use, it's more for company annual dinners and give out as a gift. So it's more affected. As we look at fine wine, more premium wines, their customers are wine lovers. Their customers are upper income consumers, and they have a habit of drinking wine. So the demand is very steady. And for fine wine, the channel is always more diverse channels. And for fine wine, normally the distributor will not have a big stock, and the volume target is lower. So from what I observed from the markets, I think for those who normally sell fine wine, their business is not that much affected as normal people. And also another change from the coronavirus is it has created pressure for us for the trade people to optimize our distribution channel. Because of the sales pressure, the profit pressure, we need to relook at our distribution model. First of all, we need to have multiple channels. This is what we learned. If your customer is, if you have a very big customer and they are affected by the coronavirus, then your business will be very much affected. So we would, as an importer or as our distributors, they would like to explore more channels. So if I only sell my wine, if I'm only an importer who sells wine to restaurants, I will definitely not have a good year. But if I have other channels as well, I still can optimize my sales targets. And the second optimization, that we need to do, or after the coronavirus, we are asked to do is to give wider customer distribution. We used to have less than 1,000 customers in China as Pran Wines. And now we want to build up more customers, because the more customer we have and the wider our distribution is, we are less likely to be affected. For example, if our customer, they located in Wuhan area, then that will be a nightmare for us. But if we have customers all across China, we are less likely to be affected. And the third point is we need to be more and more close to end user. That means we need to cut down all the unnecessary supply chains. In the past, people sell wine, wineries sell wine to importer sells to wholesaler sells to retailers, and then retailers sell wine to end user. I think that was too long supply chain, and that brings margin problem to everyone, brings pricing problem to end users, and that has made this supply chain very less effective. So I think the whole market is working towards to a shorter supply chain. Everybody is trying to get closer to end users. For example, those online channels, for example, Tmall. Wine to Tmall, and Tmall sells to individual. Everybody gets maximum margin, while the end user gets the lowest cost. And it's very effective. Whenever our customer or the end user have a react on the wine, they say the label is not attractive enough, the winery will immediately receive the information. So I think this is something we need to think about. And finally, for fine wines, wineries, I think, or import, I think we need to emphasize a lot on those small and medium-sized customers, because these people are the real people that is selling our wine to end users. They know the need of our end user, and they are able to promote for the brands that we have. They know their customer, so their volume is not big. For example, I have a lot of customers, they are buying like one case, or even so for certain premium wines, they buy in only 2 bottles, 3 bottles at a time, because they are small. They don't have enough cash flow, but they are able to sell premium wines. So they tend to place more orders to us, but we still take it because we think this kind of customer is important. They are able to convince their customers into buying the brands that we want them to buy. So this is, I think, after the coronavirus, we did a think about, we look at our strategy in China, and this is what we think we need to consider. And the third and also biggest change that happened to the wine industry after the coronavirus is everything is going online right now. In China, actually, everything was online before, but for wine industry, we didn't put that much importance on online channel, because wine is something that you need to experience, you need to understand it, and you got to be able to taste it before you make a purchasing decision. So it wasn't like, unlike other products, they are very much online before the coronavirus. But wine is getting more and more online right now, and as we heard from previous speakers, our online channel is increasing, the sales volume is increasing dramatically. But not just for sales, all the rest of things are coming online as well. For wine education, we are having wine classes online. For wine exhibitions, we are doing B2B connections online. And I have prepared a few case sharing here to show how we are doing wine business online. For example, we had a supermarket client, which is called T11. This supermarket is in Beijing. It's a very premium supermarket. And we did an online tasting with a McLaren Vale winery called K Brothers. It's a very historical winery in Australia. and it was quite successful. This is a very new way to do a promotion for certain products. You get to see the producer, you get to experience the vineyard, you get to see the owner, the winemaker, and see how they make the wine. So this is something very, very new to the consumer. And for another customer, Olay Supermarket, with Olay, we did an official e-shop and live broadcast. It's not we did, Olay did it, and we participated in it. And the sales volume is pretty good. The second case sharing is for KOL. It's more about, I think for this kind of KOL case sharing, it's more for promoting the brand. It's more for marketing. You can see the first lady is a lady penguin that we have talked before. And we have the third one is the first MW in China, Feng Yi. And they are all doing short videos on TikTok and other platforms. And the third case sharing is the online course. During the last quarter, we participated in a lot of online courses because we got nothing to do at home, and we take wine courses online. And meanwhile, it's a good chance to promote the wine, and sometimes we sell wine directly after the online wine courses. And the last one is for online exhibition. This is, I think, for our friends today, because most of you are wineries, I think everybody should look at the online exhibition, because it's something you can do without traveling to China, without taking a week off and spend a lot of money traveling. I think you can talk to some of these online exhibitors. And right now, most of the online exhibitors, they are from traditional exhibitors. They are the host for traditional exhibition, like the first one, 九仙子, or they call themselves Wines High. They are from Paco, which is the biggest wine show organizer in Chengdu for the National Food and Wine Exhibition. And the second is called 葡萄酒.com. They have been working 3 years on this project, trying to put wineries online, and they're trying to attract distributors to come to 葡萄酒.com to source wine, but they failed to do that because people think it's not direct enough. They cannot meet the people from the winery. So they had a hard time 2 years ago, and after the pandemic, they find it very strange. People all come to the website to search for certain wines. They want to know who's the importer for this wine in China, and besides the current purchasing channel, who else is able to give them this wine? So it's a very useful way to do B2B connection. So I think the pandemic has created a big impact on wine industry to force everything to be online, or help people moving everything online. So this is, I think, one of the biggest changes that happened. And that's all I want to share for the pandemic, the impact on traditional channels. And I have put my WeChat QR code at the back of this presentation. If you have any question, you can add me, and we can communicate later. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Baron. That was our last presenter. So people can certainly start asking questions now, and we'll direct them at the various presenters. There was a question from Ben Watkins. Will the CIIE Expo, which is the China International Importers Expo, still go ahead in November as planned in Shanghai, or do the presenters think that it might be cancelled?
David Ridgway speaking.
Hey.
I don't know whether CIIE is going ahead, but we met this week with Consul General here, Madam He, around a whole range of issues, and we discussed the CIIE. Her view was it was still, the government is still intending on holding it. Obviously, there's still a high level of uncertainty about international travel and all of those things, but we've kept the option open that if it is on and it's there are adequate flights and everybody feels comfortable about going, that we would still be interested in having a South Australian presence at CIIE, which is 5th to the 10th of November this year. But so as far as I know, from what Madam Hurt had to say, that yes, it's still planned to be on, but whether logistically we can get there still remains a little uncertain.
Okay, thank you, David. That's a good update. So did anybody want to, one of the other panelists want to address your view on labels? I guess traditionally there's been a view that, labels are more traditional in China, red and gold, but if that's changing, does someone want to make a comment on the younger Chinese consumer?
It's definitely, certainly, this is, I think, is a very key. A lot of Chinese consumers here are still at the every entry level of wine in terms of wine knowledge. So when they come to picking a bottle of wine, just like any other markets, if you don't know the product itself, the first thing you actually go to would be the packaging or the label, or the price point or the discount. So having a standout wine label that certainly help you to stand out from your competitors when it's online or on a supermarket shelf.
What is the best way to start business with an online platform that doesn't cost too much money to start?
Well, to do online business, to do retail in China is quite, it needs a lot of professional knowledge. And that's why when I say we are moving everything online for the wine industry, but I emphasized a lot on considering this to be a B2B. If you want to do direct to customer, it costs a lot of money because to set up a store on Tmall or JD.com, it's not cheap. And moreover, after setting up the store, you need a professional team to run the store, and also the logistic arrangements are very. It will take a lot of money or efforts to arrange for the logistic issues. So I would not encourage, although I said we need to shorten the supply chain, get closer to customer, I would never suggest anyone from the winery to sell directly to customer, because it's really something we cannot consider for the moment. And as an importer, from my own experience, we have been considering setting up a store on Tmall for a long time. And after considering the cost and the label needed, we give up the plan for nearly 2 years. We've been considering this, and then finally we give up. I think we need to leave the things to professionals. If you want to sell your wine online, you can try talk to Lady Penguin. You can try talk to Tmall.com and ask them to carry your wine instead of selling the wine by yourself.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Baron. Stefan, maybe this is for you. How important do you think it is to have a website as an Australian producer? How important is it to have a website that is in Chinese, in Mandarin?
Frankly speaking, from my personal point of view, I don't think it's really important. Since in China, the people, they used to buy the products or just search the products through how to say, it's like the Baidu, and this will be normally linked to the Tmall, Jingdong, this main online platform. So less and less people, they don't just visit the company's website to understand the information. They will through the Baidu to search to find things. So that's I feel it's not so important to build a website into Chinese or Mandarin to get some perception for the PRC customers.
Baron, you mentioned when the COVID arrived in China, right before the Chinese New Year. and the Chinese New Year, in fact, didn't really take place. So was there a lot of wine in the distribution network, and has that wine sort of moved through yet, or is it still sitting in some distribution centres throughout China?
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, every year before the Chinese New Year, all the trade people, they tend to build up a high stock for preparing their sales before the Chinese New Year, and also after the Chinese New Year, the logistic is always no good. So we tend to build up a higher stock than normal, than average than before. So before the Chinese New Year, yes, there are a lot of stock in the trade people's warehouse, and especially for entry-level wines, it's a big volume, I think. But I don't have any data to support that. Just traditionally, people do this.
Thank you, Baron. Stefan, maybe one for you. Traditionally, Australian wine has been very popular in Tier 1 cities and 5-star hotels. But before COVID, there was a growth of acceptance into suburban and regional restaurants, and not necessarily just the 5-star hotels. Is that something that you still see happening?
I think for the how to say, the restaurant, their demand is different with the hotel demand. So as I mentioned previously, the wine consumption and the F&B revenue from the hotel mainly from the three parts: breakfast and the banquet and the events. So that's why they can move quite a lot, like the by glass and the banquet wines. Of course, they have some of the restaurant in the hotel. They can just digest or consume some of the expensive by bottle. But the main volume from the hotel is like the by glass and banquet because of the wedding and the events. For the hotel, sorry, for the restaurant, it's totally different. Some of the restaurants in China, it's like the fine dining Chinese and the Western restaurants, their portfolio for the wine actually limited. Maybe 20, 30 different SKU. So the price range is maybe from the 300 to 2,000 RMB. So the diversity is quite a large. So personal point of view, I think for the wine business in the entree, especially in the hotel, it's a mainly volume driven. But for the restaurant, it's a lot of the opportunities. So if we can do more event, more activities, it can be generate volume and build brands. So that's my personal point of view.
Great, that's fantastic. Well, we're about out of time, so just to wrap things up for today, and as I said, some of you have asked questions that we haven't been able to answer, but they will be answered to you. I would just like to thank the four presenters who've given up their time today. So Ling, I think, has left, and Joelle Zeng has left as well, unfortunately. But Stefan and Baron, thank you for your insights and giving up your time. The second series of the Department of Trade and Investment and SAWIA market updates will be on Thursday, the 11th of June at 3:30 South Australian time. And that will feature guest speakers, including Mr. Peter Gago. I'm sure you don't need for me to tell you who Peter is from Penfolds. David Lemire, who many of you know. Jeremy Stockman, an Englishman in Hong Kong with Deputy Managing Director of Watsons. And many of you would remember Jeremy spent a lot of time at Coles Liquor in Australia. Jude Mullins from WSET, and Derek Lee, who's a group sommelier for the JIA group. So that is on Thursday, June the 11th, and if you register for that, that would be great. So I would, apart from thanking the speakers, Minister Ridgway, if you'd like to say anything by way of conclusion, that would be good.
All right, thanks, Nick. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for being the moderator, host or whatever the correct term is. But thank you for your support. We really appreciate it in your role as the chairman of the wine industry here. Thank you very much. Our presenters, thank you very much. And all of those who have been on and joined us. Early in the piece, I got an update. There was 75 people on listening and watching. I'm sure that increased from that point. So it's great to see that there is strong interest in these webinars or conferences or whatever we like to call them. I think they're very useful, and I've noticed some of the comments popping up, people saying how they found it very informative. So yes, I thank you all for your support. I mean, it is a bit different from our business as normal, but maybe this is closer to business as normal than we perhaps realise now, and it's important. So thank you very much, and I'll try and join on the 11th of June if I'm able to. There is a poll, I think, that's opening up. So if you're able to just fill that poll, and I think they're quite simple. We do like to get the feedback from everybody that's been listening and participating, so we can improve the experience if there are some suggestions. So please take a few moments to fill out the poll. Again, thank you, Nick, and the panellists, all of you for being available, and thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.